In your projects, from time to time, you may want to be able to turn certain information on or off inside of your title block. Examples of that might be the name of the individual who's going to be placing their seal on the project. You may have information such as 30% submittal, 60% submittal, information along those lines. It would be nice to just turn on and have it automatically show up on every single sheet that you're creating. You can do that in Revit by modifying some information inside of the title block. In this case, I'm inside of the default Revit template, which has one of my title blocks inside of it. So to edit that title block, I'm going to come underneath Families under the project browser, expand the category out. You may need to expand out annotation symbols, then find E1 30x42 horizontal, highlight on it, right-click, and then click on the Edit button. And this is going to bring up your title block in the Family Editor. Once you've done this, we need to add some information into here, information we might want to turn on or turn off. And in this case, it's going to be a piece of text, and we can find that underneath the Create tab up on the ribbon. So I'm going to select on text. I'm going to look at the properties of that text. And a 1/4 inch is going to be a little bit small because what I'd like to add is going to be a big label or a big piece of information that says 30% submittal. So I'm going to click where it has 1/4 inch. I'm going to change this to be 1 inch. I'm going to zoom in by just using the wheel on my mouse. Click just for the rough placement of where you'd like it to be. And then type in 30% submittal. From there, I'm going to click out in space. I'm going to hit escape a couple times to get out of the command. And once again, we're going to do the exact same thing. In this case, I'm going to pick up here. So we're going to have a piece of text up here and then another piece of text down here. Select on text, click, and then type in 60% submittal. And then click out in the space. And hit escape a couple times to get out of the command. Now that we have these two pieces of text, we are ultimately going to need to move them so they're in the right position, which is going to be down here in this corner. But we need to have specific properties assigned to each one of these so that we can turn them on and turn them off. It's going to be easier to select them if they're apart. So I'm just going to select on one of them, look at its properties, and we can see there's a check mark currently underneath visible. This is the way that we like it. We want this to be visible. But we want this visibility to be controlled inside of the project environment, not just inside of the family environment. So to do this, we need to click on this easy to overlook gray box, which is called Associate Family Parameter. If you click on that, the only thing we can really do here if we want to add information is add a parameter. So I'm going to select on the Add Parameter button. Over here underneath the name, I'm going to call this 30%. And we can either make this a type property or an instance property. If we make it a type property, this will update project-wide across every single title block. If we do this as an instance property, then only the title blocks that we select will have this 30% parameter turned on. In this case, though, I want this to be a type parameter so that every single title block can have this turned on or turned off at the exact same time. I'm going to click on OK to that, and then select on OK one more time. Now we need to do the exact same thing up here where it has a 60% submittal. I'm going to come up to 60%, click the gray box next to visible, add a parameter, and this is going to be 60%. And once again, this is going to be a type parameter. Click on OK, click on OK. Now we need to move both of these into a position where we'd like this submittal information to be. So I'm going to click, drag, get these right over the top of each other, and then let go. Now, only one of them is going to show up because one's going to mask out the other one. And that's okay. Ultimately, though, we're going to be able to control which one turns on and which one turns off. In fact, those properties have already been set into place. Now, the next thing I like to do is I'm just going to sort of window around where both of these are located at. And we can see that there's two text notes and they both have a check mark there. And they're both going to be equal to whatever the visibility settings are in the project it's inserted into. So we just sort of verify that information. I'm going to click off of this now, and I'm going to load this back into our project template. It's going to ask, do you want to overwrite the existing version or overwrite the existing version and its parameter values? Really, we can do either one at this case, but so that we don't override any information that may already been in the project, we just say override the existing version. From here, go into the project browser, and then we need to create two sheets. So I'm going to right-click where the word Sheets are under Project Browser and do a New Sheet. And just click on OK when we see that that title block family is highlighted. And I'm going to do the exact same thing again. From here, we can see that it has its submittal information in here. The good news is now, because these are type properties, we can control the visibility of these universally throughout the entire project. I'm going to expand out where it has the word Sheets under Project Browser so we can see that both sheets are there. I'm just going to select on one of these title blocks. Now, instead of 60%, maybe I just want this to be a 30% submittal. So I can go to Properties of the title block, click on Edit Type, and then clear the check mark next to 60%. Click on OK. We can now see it says 30% submittal. And in case you missed it, the reason why it says 30% is because underneath Edit Type, 30% has a check mark next to it. I'm going to click on OK, click off. Now go into my project browser and we're going to look at sheet A101. Because this is a type property and it affects all the title blocks, it means that this one as well is going to be a 30% submittal. Now, if I want to make it so that this doesn't say any submittal information, it's just blank, I can do that as well. Highlight on it, go into the properties, click on Edit Type, and then clear the check mark next to 30% and select on OK. And of course, if I look at the next sheet, it no longer has that information showing up. So the secret to being able to turn on information inside of a title block is to begin by going into an editing mode of the title block. Put the information in. It doesn't matter if it's an image file, if it's a piece of text, it could be anything. Once you've done that, select on it, go to the properties of that object, and then click on the little gray button next to where it has visible, and then add a parameter, giving that parameter a name that you'll be able to recognize. When you do that, select whether or not it's a type parameter or an instance parameter. Type parameter will do it project-wide. Instance parameter will be on a sheet-by-sheet basis. I'm going to click on Cancel the list because I haven't added anything. Click on Cancel. After that, load that back into either your project or into your project template if you want to use it again and again and again in future projects. From there on out, all you'll need to do is select on your title block, go into Edit Type, and then tell it which piece of information you want to display, and then that piece of information will display project-wide if you selected type properties off of the list.